Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Maximize Your Life Bible Study. I'm Minister Marcus, and hopefully, I can give you some things to think about, to talk about, to help enhance your faith. That's what I do on Wednesday nights. Tonight, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm live on Instagram on the God Movements page. So instead of Minister Marcus page, I decided to go live on the God Movements page because I had a couple of people to request that. I guess they don't follow me on Instagram. I don't know. But once again, what I do on Wednesday nights is I do simple Bible studies, man, to talk about practical things that you can do to enhance your walk with God. All right. And so tonight, hopefully, you get something. All right, so I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time. We're gonna go back to talking about sorry I missed you guys last week. Before we start, sorry I missed you guys last week. I had some kind of allergic reaction going on my face, and I didn't want to get online. I had to work late. It was just a bad week last week. So sorry I missed you guys last week. But tonight we are going to continue what we were talking about. Excuse the scruff. I'm going to be doing my shave on Thursday, Friday, close to the weekend. Once again, I'm Minister Marcus, and I am here to help you enhance your walk with God. And so tonight we are talking about self-control. So here's my question before we start. Do you actually have self-control? You know, when I ask people that, most people tell me yes. Most people say yes, they have self-control. And I'm like, hey, man, that's great. That's great. I'm glad you have self-control. But most of the time, we think that we have self-control in certain areas, right? But the thing is that when you get mad, do you have self-control when you're angry? Do you have self-control when you're upset? Do you have self-control when you're emotional, right? Look, here's another one. When you're hungry, do you have self-control? I have self-control, but I found that I discovered, right, that when I'm hungry, right, I get annoyed and agitated very easily. and so I noticed, right, that I didn't have as much self-control when I was hungry. I noticed that I didn't have as much self-control when I got angry. And so tonight, we're just going to talk about self-control. And the topic tonight, I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. Normally, I have a big green. It's right here, but I don't use that tonight. For those of you that are trying to find a Bible to study with or to read that'll give you good understanding and interpretation, I encourage you to buy a Life Application Study Bible, New Living Translation. It reads like a story, and it also has different little points and stuff that you can use to help you enhance your walk with God. All right. And so, but tonight we're using the New American Standard Bible. It's coming from 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24 through verse 27. And then we just gonna roll right into it. All right. It says, do you not know? That sounds like how my daddy used to say it. Do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Then he says, run in such a way that you may win. Everyone who competes in the games exercises self-control in all things. I'm reading New American Standard. Then they do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we do it to receive an imperishable reward. Therefore, this is Paul, I run in such a way as not without aim. I run in such a way, I box in such a way, not as beating the air. And here's the verse. But I discipline or control my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. And let me start by asking you this question, man. How many times do we tell people to do things, right, that we ourselves don't do? How many times do you find yourself getting mad at people for not doing what you say, but they mimic what you do? You know what? A big reflection, especially for me, were my kids, man. They were my eye opener, right? Because I would tell them, hey, man, you got to be more organized, right? You got to make sure you keep your area clean, right? You got to make sure this, you got to make sure that everything has its proper place. And then they come to my house, right? You know, I live by myself. And so if I don't feel like cleaning, I ain't going to clean. If I don't feel like washing my dishes, I ain't gonna wash them. I keep my bathroom clean. That's about it. My bathroom, I try to keep my kitchen on the neat side. outside, but it'll always be clean. But here it is. I found myself, right, getting mad at my kids for leaving their shoes in the walkway. Come on, I wish I had some real people tonight. They leave their shoes when they take them off, they just leave them right there in the walkway. And I had to come by and I say, hey man, whose shoes are these? Come get these shoes up, you know? And then only to realize and discover when I get off work, right, I take my shoes off and guess what? That's right. That's right. I leave them right there, man. Wherever I take them off, I leave them right there until I feel like doing it. And here's the thing. The thing is that so many times we get upset, and for kids, I used to get upset at my kids for not doing what I said, but in reality, they only doing what they saw me doing, right? And so it's not that they were trying to intentionally follow my example, but it was just that it was a model. I was asking them to portray something, right, that they had not necessarily seen. And so I noticed when I started, right, making sure that I practiced. Come on, this is what Paul say. After I have preached that I have not been to counsel, I started making sure that I practiced the different things that I was preaching to them. And then it became clear, right, that it was easier to get them to do certain things. Do your homework after school. Then my response to them is, how often do you see me reading? How often do you see me studying? And so, but the problem is that a lot of times we get mad at people, right, not for doing what we say, right? But we get mad at them for doing the same things that we do, but ignoring what we say. And here's what I want to get you to understand tonight, right? Is that people may or may not do what you say, but people most of the time will always do what they see. If I told you right now to do everything what I said to do, and I touched my eye, but I told you to touch your ear, and you watching me on your camera, it's going to confuse you. Something is going to be off. And here's the thing is, right, is that a lot of times we get upset. Come on, I don't want to move too fast, but the thing is, I want to stress tonight. I want to stress is that we need more examples. The lesson is coming from Corinth. Right. And in Corinth, it was a good place for Christianity to be. And what God wanted, what Paul wanted to do is he wanted to expand God's message. And so he did that by setting up a church at Corinth. And Corinth was like an airport, right? Corinth was like an airport. And so it had a lot of people coming, a lot of people going, right? And so, but the church at Corinth is now exposed, right, to a whole lot of different things. They're exposed to a lot of ins and outs, right? It's just like the church nowadays. And so the difficulty at Corinth was that the people had a lot of different influences. And if you talk to a lot of teenagers nowadays, they have a lot of different influences, right? I know what's right to do, but I have these influence pulling on me and pushing on me, right? And weighing in every day, all day, right? And so I go to church on Sundays, right? But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I have a lot of influences, right? And so sometimes it gets difficult to do the right thing when you have all these different influences coming at you from a lot of different ways. And so this is picture the church at Corinth, right, as having a good heart, but having a lot of bad influences. How many of you can testify along with me to say, man, I know I want to do right? I know I want to live right. I want to live the Christian life, but I have so many, negative influences and temptations, right? Things to pull me or push me or to excite me or to incite me to do and say and be certain different places and things, right? And so this is the church at Corinth. And here's what Paul said. Paul says is that it's not just being an example in word, but it's being an example in lifestyle and actions. And I believe right now that this is a word for a lot of us who go to church in 2020 who call ourselves Christians. We don't need examples of how to do church. I think we have enough examples of how to do church, how to speak in tongues, how to shout, run your lap, how to get excited in church. We don't need examples on how to do that, right? But we do need examples on how to act. We need examples on how to respond to conflict. We need examples of how to stay married for more than 10 years. We need examples of how to live the right kind of life, how to respond, how to behave as a Christian, right? We don't need conversations. We need examples, right? And so it becomes this. And here's what Paul is saying. He said, I want you guys to understand that you are a church. And the reason why, look, let me just really just be honest. I think what is different nowadays from the church back in the day is that people had respect for the church, right? Because they saw a lot of godly examples, right? They saw examples at home. And what we lack nowadays is we have good conversations, but we don't have good Christian character, and we don't have the examples to go with the words that we say, and it causes people to lose respect. How many people have you lost respect for who talk one way but live a certain way, and it brings your level of respect, come on, to a lower level? And I believe that this is what our churches are missing in 2020. We are missing the kind of level of respect because we don't have enough examples. We need to get back to living the life of a Christian, and then our words as Christians will be respected. And here's what I love. I love the fact that when you live the Christian life, that God blesses, right? And then you start to see the power, and then you start to see the blessings, and then you start to see the things that God can do, right? But it doesn't come before you show the example. And so all of us are good at talking, right? All of us are good at sounding spiritual, saying blessed and highly favored, and quote whatever scriptures. But how many of you are good at living the life? And the question becomes, can people see what you stand for without you having to say it all the time, right? I decided that I was going to become a model of godly morals and godly values. I may not dress in a suit, but if you walk with me every day, you'll see that I stand for things that God stands for. I stand against things that God stands against. I handle myself right in such a way that everybody knows without me having to say it, right, that I'm in control of myself, right? Are you an example of what a Christian talks like? Are you an example of what a Christian responds like? Are you an example of what a Christian behaves like? Or have you adopted the popular trend in thinking and living? And most of us, we say we're Christians, right? But we live our lives based on the popular trend of thinking, the popular trend of living, the popular trend of behaving. If somebody makes you mad, right, you don't respond as a Christian will respond. There is a way of getting your point across, right, without being, come on, y'all hear what I'm saying? Are you an example of what a Christian handles conflict like? And that don't always mean be a doorman. And I want to stress that, because a lot of times people think that because I'm a Christian, right, that I have to respond nice. No, I can get my point. I can say what I need to say, right, without being arrogant, without being mean and selfish, without disregarding everybody, right? I just want you to understand that there is a certain way, right, to do things. And so Paul stresses to the Corinthians that they must get to a point. They must get to the point of living the Christian life. And in order to do that, and this is what he says, is going to take self-control. And I want to stress this for those of you out there that want to change your life. It is going to be hard to do that if you don't have self-control. And I'm not just talking about Christianity. I'm talking about everything. If you want to lose weight, it's gonna take some self-control. If you wanna, get better finances, it's gonna take some self-control. If you want to change some things in your life, it is going to take some self-control. And I had to learn this, right? I had to learn this. Hey, how you doing? I had to learn this, right? I wanted to transform my body last year. I had a little, it wasn't a big pot belly, but it was a little pot, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I need to get rid of this, right? Because I want a super six-pack. But the first thing that I learned in getting a six-pack, it is not about the exercises that you do, it's not about the cardio. But those of you that have lost weight, you know, and lost inches, you know, it's all about diet. And that was one of my major things, right? Don't take my fried chicken away from me. Don't take my mashed potatoes. And my mama, she used to make for me some rice and gravy. And I would, oh my God. But the thing is that, right, in order for me to lose the weight, I had to learn to control my appetite. And I think I want to stay there tonight, because I think we have a whole lot of things that we want to do, but we don't want to control ourselves. A lot of people say they want to save money, but they don't want to control their spending. A lot of people say they want to lose weight, but they don't want to control their eating habits and the things that they eat, the things that they like to eat. A lot of people say they want to live better, healthy lifestyles, right? But they don't want to control themselves on the different areas. And I want you to understand this. I want you to understand that very few things are going to happen in your life if you don't have self-control. Tonight, we are focusing on Christianity. If you want to be a good Christian, it's going to take some self-control. And in order to do that, that Paul used the athlete illustration. In order for an athlete to be successful, he needs to train. Athletes have to train in order to compete, not win, but in order to compete. Without training, winning is impossible. Winning is impossible. I want you to get, in order to play football, they got to practice, right? In order to play basketball, they got to practice. Athletes have to train themselves. He says it's the same way that Christians do. The same way an athlete has to train, it's the same way we have to train ourselves, right, to live the Christian life. I want you to say this after me. Say, it's going to take practice. Good God Almighty. It's going to take I wish somebody would have told me this, right? Because I thought when I first came to the knowledge of God, right, I told her, my grandpa was a pastor, my daddy was a preacher. I walked up and I said, yes, I believe that Jesus rose from the dead. I believe that God raised Jesus. I confess with my mouth, believe in my heart. I want to change my life, right? And I thought that everything was just going to go away. I thought I wasn't going to want to smoke weed no more. I thought I wasn't going to want to cuss nobody out no more. I thought I wasn't going to want to have sex no more. Come on. I thought I wasn't going to want to go to the strip club no more. I thought I wasn't going to want to sell no more. I thought I wasn't going to want to do anything anymore. But nobody told me, right, that it takes practice. Come on. I want you to consider this, right? That habits that you have been doing for years and years, some of them may leave easy, but some of them it's going to take practice. If you've been cussing folk out for the last 20 years, right, it's going to take you some practice to control your mouth. If you've been going off on people, right, with a bad attitude, it's going to take practice. If you've been selfish, come on, I want y'all to get it. If you've been selfish, it's going to take practice for you to understand what it means to share. And I want you to get that. Christianity takes practice. Changing my diet took practice. Changing your diets, it's going to take practice. Going to the gym every day. Come on. I want you to hear me when I say it. It's going to take practice. And here's the 3 words tonight, and then we're going to close it out. Training, practice, and instruction. And this is what an athlete has to go through. He has to go through training, right? To train his body, to train his mind, to play whatever sport or do whatever it is. He needs practice, and he needs a coach, which is instruction. And I'm going to use those 3 things tonight, right? And then I'm going to close it out just so we can get it. Training. Come on. Christianity is going to take some training, not just Christianity. And I want you to filter this into all the other areas of your life. That building my wealth is going to take financial training. Changing my health is going to take, good healthy training. I'm going to need to train. And when I say train, I want you to consider this. Training in productive habits while training out destructive habits. I'm going to say it one more time. Training in productive habits while training out destructive habits. I use this all the time. I quit smoking cigarettes maybe about 8 years ago. But I had smoked. I started smoking when I was 14. I quit when I was 27, right? And I failed at it so terribly the first few times because it was a habit that I had trained into my daily routine, right? So I had trained having a cigarette in my mouth in the morning, having a cigarette in my mouth after lunch, having a cigarette in my mouth after dinner, having a cigarette in my mouth. And I trained, I noticed that my body was trained to do it. I had trained a habit in, and I want you to consider this, right? That I didn't realize, right, that one of the things that I had to break in order for me to break that habit was I had to train myself, right, to do different things. I had to train myself, right? And I want you to get it, that it's going to take some training. You have got to get to the point where you get consistent, like, training myself. I had to get unused to smoking. So I started drinking V8 juice. I trained myself to drink the V8 instead of because I had to train it in, and then there was some things that I had to train out, right? I had to get my body used to not having it. And I want you to get this, and this is not just with Christianity, this is with everything. You are going to have to train yourself, right, to get to a certain level. Living the Christian life is going to take training. Living the Christian life is going to take practice. I want you to get this. You're going to have to practice controlling your attitude. You're going to have to practice your response to conflict. You're going to have to practice not being petty. You're going to have to practice forgiving. When I say practice, I mean doing it continually. It's failing at it, getting up, and continuing to try again until you get it. And I want want you to hear me when I say this. Then the Bible does tell you forgive, but I want you to understand that forgiveness takes practice. I got to practice forgiving. I got to continue to forgive and forgive and forgive until it comes naturally, because I want to tell you right now, I've been walking with God a long time. And forgiveness is something that sometimes I struggle with, and I'm still practicing that. But that's okay. You know, I'm not naive. If somebody do something to my mama, I'm not gonna want to hug them. I'm not gonna want to be nice to them. Oh no, I'm really gonna have to pray. But I want you to understand that it takes practice. Come on, controlling your attitude after flying off the handle on people every day. It's going to take practice and prayer. I should have prayer and practice. Lord, help me to control my attitude. Lord, help me, right, to control my temper. Lord, help me to control my response to conflict. Help me to think first. Practice. Come on, say that. Practice. I gotta practice not being petty. I'm the master of petty, right? I'm the prince of petty. I'm the king of being petty. But I gotta practice. I hope y'all getting this tonight. Do you have self-control? It's just a question. Control comes with practice, and then instruction. Instruction. I don't think that we take enough importance to the church that we go to. Finding a church that can guide you as you walk with God and at the same time teach you God's ways. I want you to get this, right? That you need instruction when it comes to living the Christian life. This is what the Bible says, that he that is, if he is a new, if he is every man that's in Christ is a new creature. I'm paraphrasing, I'm markinizing that. But if you are in Christ, you are a new creature. Then I want you to consider that, right? That the way that the baby learns and grows is because he has instruction from his parents. So he is taught how to eat. He is taught how to walk. He is taught how to use it, and he practices it every day, just like a baby. And I want you to get this, that if you are at the wrong church, and I'm working right now on a subject that I'm going to do on Sunday, and it's talking about the 4 different soils, and what it says in Matthew is that because of a lack of understanding, that the enemy was able to steal away the word that was put inside of them because they didn't have understanding. And I want you to get this, that instruction is important, right? Because it brings understanding to the areas, right, that are gray, the areas that you don't understand as far as walking like a Christian and living like a Christian. Good instruction. This is not telling you what to do, but a guide and an understanding how to operate, how to think, the different things to read, right? The different things to look at, the different things to study. I want to stress to you, right, that maybe your walk with God is being hindered if you are not at a good place of instruction. Church, right, is to help to instruct me on how to live as a Christian. And this is why I'm real big on this. I'm not going to just tell people that you're going to hell without showing you a way to get to heaven. As a matter of fact, I never tell people that they're going to hell. My job is not to tell you you're going to hell. My job is to instruct you on how to get to heaven. As a pastor, my job is not to put you in hell, but it's to try to help you get to heaven. And I think a lot of times, right, that we fail to find a church that we can learn and grow in our walk with God. I'm not talking about paying tithes. The tithes will come. I'm not talking about all this other stuff that the church is, shout 3 times and turn around 3 times and say Jesus. No, I'm saying your walk with God on a daily, continual basis, teaching you God's ways, how to think, how to learn about God, how to know when it's God, how to, when you get to a place where you recognize that God is moving, even though it don't seem like it. Instruction. I want you to get this, right, that in order to control yourself, you need training, prayer, practice, and instruction. You need to be at a place, right, where you can hear from God. Now, I want you to hear this when I say this. Without training, it's going to be impossible to control yourself. Without training, without practice, it's going to be impossible to break those old habits. It's going to be impossible for you to begin new, better habits. Because how do you know without instruction? This is why instruction is important. It's not just breaking bad habits, it's beginning better habits. How do you know what better habits to begin if you don't have that instruction, right? And so I'm doing this year, and I'm almost finished. but I'm learning to build wealth, right? To make my financial status better, right? And so in order to do that, because I've never heard different terms, now I have to get different instruction, right? To help me to know what habits I need to start. Like, I already know what habits I need to stop, but now I need to know what habits I need to start, right? So that I can get to the next level. And so some of you are walking with God, right? And we talking about control yourself, but some of us are walking with God, right? And we know the things that we don't need to do and that we need to stop doing, but we don't recognize the things that we need to start doing. And all of that comes with being at a place where you can receive instruction. Self-control comes from not doing things, but to start doing different things, right? And so I think we miss it. All right, and I got one more. Whoa. Come on, say this before we close tonight. Control comes by habit. Control comes by habit. You have to practice in order to make it a habit. And I always start people with 20 minutes for 21 days. Before we go off tonight, I want you to get this. Control comes by habit. 20 minutes for 21 days. For those of you that are seeking a better walk with God, here is something that you can do. For the next 21 days, give God 20 minutes. I can, if you link with me, I can give you different things to read on a daily, right? Because this is what I do. I build people's relationship with God. I teach you how to nurture a relationship with God so that you can hear when he directs, or you can see and understand when he's moving or operating in your life. The God movement was designed just to get people to see and know and recognize when God is moving in their life. And so I start people on this 20 minutes for 21 days. Give God 20 minutes for 21 days. Take 10 minutes to read a passage and take 5 minutes to write about what you got from that passage, and then take the other 5 minutes to just meditate and try to hear from God. Control comes by habit, right? And so the first thing that I want us to do is I want us to learn, right, how to give God that time. 20 minutes for 21 days. You are building a habit, right? Control comes by habit. You're building a habit of connecting with God on a continual daily basis, right? And so for those of you that start with 20 minutes for 21 days, and you'll see it will become routine. It will come by habit, right? And so I want you to get that. I want you to get that. I want you to get that. So tonight, man, I didn't even get to, man, I still have, 3 more pages of notes that I didn't even touch. I don't know if we're going to be talking about self-control for next week. But man, for those of you who are seeking a better walk with God, man, I encourage you. DM me, inbox me, leave your comments down at the bottom of the page. If there are questions, that's what I'm here for. But tonight, do you really have control of yourself? I want you to evaluate how much control you actually have over your appetites. How much do you actually control do you actually have over your emotions? How much do you actually control yourself? All right. And so with that tonight, man, I encourage y'all to go finish reading that up. Hopefully you can tune in next week, man. I have so many things I want to share with you, but tonight we ran out of time. And so hopefully I said something, man, that was helpful, that was encouraging. I'm going to start doing our Wednesday night Bible studies, not just on our Facebook, not just on my Facebook Live, but I'm going back to the God Movement's Instagram. So you guys be on watch for the different things that the God Movement posts. I'm really trying to get TGM into a different arena. And so I hope, man, it just blesses your life. That's what I'm here to do. That's what TGM is here to do, to help enhance your life. So with that, guys, go visit our website, www.thegodmovement.com, and it'll connect you to all the different things that we are doing. We have a lot of different things coming up this year that we are doing. We are volunteering. We went to a nursing home for January. We went back to the nursing home in February for Valentine's Day. We were able to pass out some things to the women and men in the nursing home. In March, we have a thing coming up where we either going to be doing Feed the Homeless, or we're going to be giving to a school. I don't even remember exactly what it is. But, man, we need volunteers, man. We need volunteers. I don't just want to be a church that have church, but I want to be a church that touch and impacts people's lives. And so that's why it's called the God Movement, because we're not just at church, but we're moving throughout our city. We're moving throughout our families, and, we're doing things. We're touching people. So with that, www.thegodmovement.com. Go to our website, visit, find out how you can volunteer. If you want to give, Cash App tag is on there. If you just want to come and sit in our services at 8:15 on Sunday mornings, I always encourage people, do that early Sunday morning service. That 11 o'clock is good, and that's traditional, right? But that 8:30, 8:15, once you get done with that, man, you got the whole day. You can go home and nap, take you a nap, wake up, and you still got the whole day to go and do whatever you want to do. So get you a good, solid early morning service. That's just for some people. But anyway, hopefully I said something tonight that was an encouragement to you in your walk with God. And hopefully I'll say something in the upcoming weeks. If you can't make our service on Sunday, tune in next Wednesday. I will be right here. This has been another edition of the Maximize Your Life Bible Study. I'm Minister Marcus, and I pray that you see God operating in your life, not at church, but in your life. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I am done. So have a good night. See you guys next Wednesday. Goodbye. Thank you guys for tuning in, my TGM television crew.